Welcome back to Norrath. So, you all remember the commonlands farm fields, which I have been talking about pretty much ever since I started this series. Well, you can see behind me here, I have been doing a lot of work, and I have finally finished all of the farm fields. We have everything planted and irrigated. There should be, I think there's probably enough potatoes and wheat in this field to feed many thousands of Minecraft characters. And that is a good thing because we have also done quite a bit of work in Freeport that I'm going to show you, as well as hooking up the docks to make them functional to take us back and forth across the Ocean of Tears between here and Caledon. And also the Commonlands cave over there, I've done that as well, and we will be taking a look at all of that in this episode. So let us first take a look here at the Commonlands farm fields, see what goodness we have down here. Now you all remember this farm field that I made way back as a prototype of what I wanted to do all the way through the Commonlands, and I of course have done that, as you can see here. Some of these fields are, of course, since this is a medieval area, we have the traditional medieval 3-field farming system, which means some of these fields are not planted because they are laying fallow for this season, and other fields are planted with amber waves of grain, and still others are planted with green fields of potatoes. So that is our crop rotation. We have fallow fields, then wheat, and then potatoes, then back to fallow, and then so on and so forth, all the way around, all through the years rolling around. Over here, we can see that I have gone through and edged out all the roads with sort of these little hedgerows here. They're not very tall. Generally, in medieval times, there would be very tall hedgerows on either side of the roads, but I want you to be able to see things and not just the hedges, so I've trimmed them down just a little bit so we can see those. Over here, I have added a lot of houses off in the woods back over here, and I've added some sheds with those. Most of them don't have barns associated with them because they're sort of like medieval suburbs, you could say. But they're actual functional houses because they will be, I think, like game hunters and sort of like animal farmers and sheep farmers back in the hills here between the plains below and the mountains over here. We have sort of this foothill marginal type land, which, I mean, you know, land is fairly precious in these medieval times, so we have to make the most use we can out of all the real estate we have to work with because, you know, well, it was free. So we had to do something with it. So sort of give you a panoramic view over here. I don't want to go too quickly so you can have time to soak in all of the landscape around here. This is one of the things I've always wished people would do in their Minecraft worlds, was to make a big farming landscape, because most people start and they build the big city back there, but then they don't build anything around it. Like, you need all of this infrastructure out here to support your city dwellers with food. And as I've said, I think we have enough food here in the Commonlands to support maybe like tens of thousands of people, I would think, maybe even 100,000. I'm not really sure what the calculation on that would be. That would be fairly interesting to figure out how much food you would need for how many Minecraft characters. Over here, we are near the Druid Rings, almost to the other side of the Commonlands. Freeport is now out of our render range. Of course, we have the fields planted underneath the aqueducts along here. And behind those, hidden behind those on the other side of the foothills that border the Desert of Roe, over there, we of course have some more houses over here. But not as many as we have over there, because as you can see, there's also a bit more land to work with, but it's also a bit less arid in those regions as well. Of course, we have, I think, the Jagged Pine Forest on the other side of the mountains over there. We have Nectalos Forest on the other side of the mountains when we get all the way back to Freeport. Of course, I haven't done enough AFK time to get all of the fields completely done. So here's a sort of a snapshot of the fields growing in progress. Over here we can see that in the hills in the hill country that is beyond the farming fields. We have more houses set up here. Of course, they all face along the roadways. Back here as well. And over here we get to the border of the territory of Freeport, marked out by this tower and this bridge over here. And that road over there goes off to Rivervale. Over there. And of course we have another road over here as well, and that joins up with the other one. With that tower over here. Sort of these small little watchtowers mark out the edge of the territory controlled and watched over by Freeport. Of course, over here we have the reservoir that feeds the aqueduct. And beyond that still, I have settled out the sort of the hinterland hill country back here as well. You remember our little fortress by the lake here. Well, I have added a bunch of houses on the border of the lake because this is sort of a freshwater fishing community over here. And of course, instead of roads to get to their houses, you have little jetties and docks over here that you can come to on a little boat. And you can take from over here. Of course, we have a bigger docks area over here as well. And I have made some entrances to get into the little hamlet over here, which I have yet to name. I will do that at some point, as soon as I settle on a good name. And of course, we have more houses back here around that as well. Some pathways that I have marked down through the forest back here. Over here, you will remember we have the small wizard spires. These just travel to various locations on Antonica. Of course, we have the underground area of Befallen still down there. But if we go down this area back here, we can see along this road we have yet more houses laid out and a couple of watchtowers. And if we go still farther along this way, we can see we have an interesting structure down here. This is the first of several types of mines that I have included in the world. So as you can see, we have a mine shaft that is sunk directly into the ground here. Of course, we have one of these sort of like a medieval, I don't even know what they're called. Sort of the circular things that they function sort of like a medieval crane. You would have a person in there walking and turning the thing around to raise and lower this platform down here all the way to the top of the mine shaft. Of course, this particular mine, as you can see, is a coal mine. Plus we have, of course, some mine carts, and I will just go through this mine a little bit to show you the design I have for it. As you can see, at regular intervals, we have the tree trunks made out to shore up the mine and everything, so we can get at the ore veins and the sides here. And this continues around for currently only one layer, but I'm going to be adding additional layers below this. But as you can see, it eventually circles around over here in various sections back to the main entrance over here, where you load up your ore, and then it goes up through the crane all the way up to the top here. And to access this, there is over here, there's a little ladder that you can use that will take you down to the bottom there. And we have several of these mine shafts around here somewhere that I have made. And we'll drop down in this one here. We can see that this one is a gold mine. And I have color keyed these for various types of ores. We have, of course, diamond mines and lapis mines, iron mines, and all sorts of different types of mines. So over here, this area of the world is, you can see, a mining community. And let's go still further south. We can see we've got another little mine here, a little shanty town built up beside that. A little further down the road, we have the edge of Freeport's territory down here, and we have another large sort of settled area. This one is not walled in because this one mostly caters to travelers along the road here, since this is a very wild and rough and tumble area of the world. We have only some some larger houses to serve as sort of like inn houses. We have a well here for passing travelers. We have a few empty sheds to put up animals and whatnot. Of course, down here in the desert area, we have yet one more mine, and this is where the diamond mine is located down here. It's the main reason why the very lucrative diamond mine was built on the edge of the southern desert of Roe down here as well. I don't want to spend too much time on that. I just want to show you that all this is down here and it exists for you to be able to come explore. Of course, as I've said, I'll say it again so you may not have caught it. The version 1.3 of the world I'm going to release at the end of this month, so everything you're seeing here you can come and see for yourself. I'm also going to be working on making a bedrock version. It will have various levels of bugs in it. I'm still trying to fix some of those. But as we go back over the common lands here, you will of course be able to come and explore the full breadth of the common lands, as well as all the work I've been doing in the world, both here and over in Karana, over in Felwythe, over in Erudin, and pretty much everything that has been updated in the world since version 1.2. And it's quite a lot of stuff, actually. Especially all those new underground areas I've been touring and talking about. And there is yet one more underground area before we get back into Freeport here that I want to show you. So, veterans of EverQuest will be familiar with Common Lands Cave. And I wanted to put this in because generally, sort of in this area, both outside the cave and sort of stretching along back to Freeport itself, this is where sort of the first organic market developed in the world of people trying to sell their wares. They would do so in the common lands, and they would generally congregate around the cave here. So if we go over this way, we will see that we do indeed have a cave entrance. So let's go down here. I'm going to just sort of walk through the cave system to give you a good idea of what it is like. Then we'll briefly go into spectator mode after that, show you from the outside. As you can see, it goes down quite a ways. This is Minecraft, and we can do that. But it's sort of it's very a twisty-turny path along here. But if you just follow the torches, you will be okay. It's going to be sort of a bit of a dark segment of the episode, but I wanted to show you all this without the night vision, so you can see it in sort of its good ambient lighting here. I've tried to hide some lighting here and there when appropriate. But as you can see, we have a lake down here and plenty of stalagmites and stalactites, and some of them have indeed connected, like right here, and formed some pillars. And if we walk around our pathway here by the lake, we will see that we have a central bridge that we can cross and look off back into the cave here. And if we keep following our torches and everything, I've done the area with half slabs, so you shouldn't have to be doing a ton of jumping around to get through the cave system. But just like in EverQuest, if we keep going through the Common Lands cave network down here, it's one of the smaller cave systems that I built. We will eventually come out to the other side on the exit for the Desert of Roe. This is a sort of a shortcut you can take if you don't want to go through Freeport or through one of the gates. Say that you are smuggling materials, sort of contraband that you don't want to have customs inspect. You can go through the Common Lands cave network and sort of get your various goods and materials in through that cave system there. We're almost to the other side of it. Coming up here. There we go. We can see some daylight again. So we are coming out through the other side here, and we can see that we are indeed in now the Desert of Roe back here. See our cactus stretching off in the sunset there with the sand and everything. Of course, we have Freeport over here to our right, but before I do that, let's briefly go into spectator mode so I can show you the cave network from the outside. Alright, so as we dip below the ground here, we can see the tunnel that we use to get to the surface, and of course that connects to the cave itself. And you can see I have laid out the cave system. I wanted to have it sort of be a rambling network of caves. There is only one pathway through, but there are a lot of smaller caves off to the sides here. Say if you are a brigand and you want to set up a secret hideout, you can do so in one of these smaller caverns off here to the side. And I think I'm going to probably insert just that. I'm going to make some more actual built structures in that. You can see over here that all the commonlands houses that I showed you earlier, these all have root cellars in them down here, by the way, if you want to store your farming produce or whatever below ground, as well as in your barn, you can do so in your root cellar. And as you can see, every house pretty much, without exception, I believe, unless I missed some, have a root cellar in them. And another feature of the commonlands cave network, before we get away from this, is I want to show you that this actually does have a third connection to get directly into the Freeport underground. If you go through one of the cave spurs, there's a small section I have cut. I want to make this more formal and dress it up a little and texture it and everything. I haven't done that yet, but it is going to connect into the Freeport underground. If you'll remember, we built underground quite a long time ago down here, and it of course consists of sort of underground cisterns and sewer systems and various caverns and caves and sort of a formal carved out structures and everything. So you can come here and see all that for yourself. All right, so let us now go into Freeport itself, because there are some things in here that I want to show you that I have been working on inside the city. And the first thing you will immediately notice is I have finally started filling in the middle parts of all the housing that we're going to be building down here. I have just done most of the facades and the lower layers, finishing the structures for the roofs and everything. That's going to be even farther off into the future. I have started working on one of those roofs over here. And we have sections of those here as well, and a bit of it over here. But these are sort of all these flat top sections. They are eventually going to have finished roofs on them, like this. But that's going to be the last thing I do in Freeport once I get all the housing properly finished. So let's actually land here and sort of just spend some time walking along some of these streets here. So we can see that in true medieval fashion, as we get higher up, our houses, they tend to overhang the street a bit because, of course, space inside the city is very tight. So they're trying to eke out some extra real estate up top by building out over the streets instead. So when we go down our streets, we will have sort of, they'll end up being a little bit darkened and treacherous, because in true medieval style, they all have the overhanging elements here. We can see we've only really got 2 blocks of light space up here for the smaller streets, even though the larger ones have a bit more on that. So let me just sort of fly down some of these so you can see the layout. And I have done all of this in, I took sort of modules of the housing prototypes that I created, and I did a lot of copy and pasting and colliding together, because some of them in some sections get a little bit messy, but that's going to be cleaned up in the future. But if we go down our street here, make a little turn back this way, we can see that many of these streets, they sort of meander around. We have both larger ones and smaller ones. So let me just kind of show you that from above here so you can get a sense of the general layout that we're going for here. And ideally, I would like to, fully decorate all of these rooms and levels that I'm going to be building inside these houses here. But I don't think that's really going to be feasible, both for lag's sake. I don't want to create too much lag with a whole bunch of objects and entities. But I probably will decorate out the lowest floors and leave sort of the middle ones as shelves. Just because, as you can see, Freeport is quite large, and doing all of those and decorating will take quite a long time. Maybe someday I will do it. If there's nothing else to do in the world, I'd probably come back and do that. But as you can see here, we have all of the districts of Freeport now have housing modules being started and built out along all of the streets, so that is indeed getting to be filled in. And eventually, over time, as I've said, they will all look more like these sections, this small, more completed section that we have over here by the Freeport docks area. Let me land down here and give you a better view of that. So these houses, well, I mean, they're not quite finished. They lack windows and detailing. But as far as the roofs and everything, like I've said, they will eventually have sort of roofs that are ramshackle and collided together and look like they're just about to collapse with various random chimneys poked in them. That is my plan to do for this when they are eventually finished. But it's good that we're over here at the harbor, because for the last part of the episode, what I want to come over here and show you are some ships that I talked about. Very briefly, I'll give you a look at this here. This is a High Elven ship. It has traveled all the way from Fellwhite, and it is docked at the Freeport Harbor here. It is it's a medium, sort of a smaller type of High Elven vessel. I do have a larger design, but this one here is designed to be a trading vessel. It's, of course, got graceful High Elven triangular sails. It lacks rigging because, of course, the High Elves use magic to pilot and turn their boats. They don't need crude things like the humans do with all these ropes hanging down from their ships. But over here, these two ships, these are, the blue one respectively is the Stormbreaker, and the red one over here is named the Siren's Bane. And if we just land down here, we can see that it's the Stormbreaker here and the Siren's Bane. Now, when you come see the world, if you want to travel to Caledon, which we're going to do very quickly, and you don't want to go on one of these Viking ships here, because over here, this is the Ocean of Tears, and we want to safely traverse it. So we need a large ocean-going vessel, and that is what this is here. This is the Stormbreaker, as I've said. This is the one that takes you from Freeport, and the Siren's Bane here will be taking you back to Freeport. So let's just get the full experience. Let's land here and aboard the ship and take a look around for a moment. I think I've mostly shown off here. We have sort of the captain's cabin back here with the bugged bed in it. I'll come back and fix that later. But of course we have a cargo hold down here as well, which I have forgotten to take out the filler material. I'll fix that later as well. Thing around here is, of course, a work in progress. But if we go back here, we can see the stern section with Freeport behind us. Of course, this ship is facing outwards from the docks, which means it is ready to lower its sails and leave. So if we come here where the ship's wheel is, we see a button. So if you come here and you press this stone button, this will take you to a set of teleported coordinates. We are, of course, still on board the Stormbreaker, but now our sails here have been lowered, which means we are, of course, at sea. And we have been teleported like 600 or 700 blocks away from Freeport, pretty much out into the middle of the ocean here. There is nothing else around here but water as far as the render distance allows, which means that, of course, we are on our way to Caledon. And I've daisy-chained all these ship designs together. By the way, this is how this is going to work. So if you press the button again, you will be teleported farther away from Freeport, but closer to Caledon on another copy of the Stormbreaker. Our sails are up, which means that we have docked here at one of the many islands in the Ocean of Tears. I haven't built the docks out here for that yet, but we need to put some small docks and some houses out here. I don't know if I'm going to get that done in time for the next download. But let's just get off the ship for a moment so we can see that if you want to set up a base or something on one of these little tropical islands off in the Ocean of Tears, you can do so with your ship docked over here. Of course, all the islands don't have, ships don't stop at all of the islands, just a couple of them. So for the other ones, like those over there off in the distance that we can see, you have to take a boat to those the old-fashioned way. So let's hit the button again, and we have been teleported yet again over here. And this takes us, I believe, over here. This is the coast of Fedor, the continent that Caladem sits on. It's a completely different continent from the one we just left. We have traveled to the other side of the ocean, but our sails are still down, which means we are still headed off to Caladem. We can see that we have more islands over here to the side that you can go and visit over there as well. But let us press the button once more. And this brings us to Caladem itself. So our sails are up, and we can see that the architecture has changed quite a bit to the dwarven designs. So if we exit here, we can see that we have arrived at the Caladem docks in the Butcher Block Mountains. And Caladem is much less complete than Freeport is, by the way. But I'm still working on it. I have recently just done the docks here and added these two ships that will, of course, take you back to Freeport. And I have bits and pieces of the city laying over there that I'm going to get rid of later. Those are bits and pieces that I use in MC Edit to create the Caladem Underground. But let's just stop here at the moment, for it's been a while since we've been to Caladem. I think this was the first place that I showcased after I let out version 1.2, if I'm not mistaken. But over here we have, of course, in Dwarven style, a small upper city, but a large undercity down here, with various pillared hallways and everything, sort of like the Mines of Moria / Erebor. This is my version of that. But I think since we're starting to run out of time, so we need to immediately leave Caladem. We want to get on the red ship, Siren's Bane, and travel back to Freeport. And of course we are doing that in the same manner that we got here with button presses. So if we hit the button, we can see that our sails have been lowered and we are now out in the ocean again. However, we do have an island here off the port bow. You can see another tropical island over there. We hit our button again, we travel yet again to even farther out. We're now in the middle of the Ocean of Tears. Of course, our sails are still down, and there are no islands around for you to check out at this section over here, as you can see. So another button press, and our sails are up, which means that we have docked at an island over here. This is another tropical island out in the Ocean of Tears that we're going to be building things on. And from this one, of course, if we hit the button once more, we are very close to Freeport, so we just immediately arrive at Freeport without having to lower down our sails again. So if we disembark from the Siren's Bane here, we can see that we have indeed arrived back in Freeport, so we can tie up our ship and offload our cargo here at the docks, and make a lot of money selling all of our wares to the people of Freeport. It's quite a merchant hub around here. And in historical terms, you could compare Freeport to, say, the city of Venice or Genoa around the 1300s. They sort of have that structure and tech level, I think. Whereas the counterpart to this, of course, across the Serpent Spine Mountains, thousands of blocks in that direction, is the Roman or Byzantine themed city of Koinos. But as you can see, the Freeport docks, that's one of the things that we first started working on, just the first couple of episodes. They are now getting fleshed out, and they are functional. As I've said, these two ships will actually take you somewhere. And the other ships around here I eventually want to have done in a similar way. I've done this with the Viking ships at Koinos, but there are going to be more things that you can use to take you to various little islands and things. I want to make some smaller fishing vessels and everything that will take you to some of the smaller islands over here. Like, say if you want to go to Shipwreck Island off the coast here, I'm going to make a little boat that will do that as well. Of course, I put a little house and a tower and a little shed on Shipwreck Island to more flesh that out. Of course, it's called Shipwreck Island, by the way, because as you can kind of see down here, there's a shipwreck sunken off the coast here. Well, that's going to be all the time we have for today. I hope you have enjoyed the update of everything that I have been building over here at Freeport and the common lands and the surrounding territory, as well as the brief ship trip that we took across the ocean. I think next time we're going to probably hop over to the plains of Karana, take a look at what I've done over there, and maybe the episode after that we will hit Erudin, and then I think for the end of the month, when I will be releasing version 1.3 for download. At that point, we will be doing a full world tour where I will go back over, I think, pretty much absolutely everything that I have built and show that to you so that when you download the world, you will know what there all is to go and check out. But I would like to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.